Welcome to the John freaking Muir Pod. Lace up those boots and sling on the pack for a romp through trails, short and long. With your host and Renaissance man, Doc. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail, dirtbags and hiker trash. I'm Doc, and this is the John freaking Muir Pod. Let's start off with a reminder. If you are enjoying the podcast, take just a minute, help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're not enjoying the pod, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right. This week, we are talking to Britt and Andy, the duo behind the Bad Hikers Instagram account. Welcome to the John freaking Muir Pod, you two. How's it going?
It's good. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So that was Andy. Britt, you want to say something audible? Because this is a podcast and they have to hear you.
No, that's fair. Hi, I'm doing great.
Okay, good. Now, Andy, you're wearing a hat. I can't quite make out what the is that Smokey Bear?
Smokey the Bear. Nice,
very good. Only you can prevent forest fires.
It's true, and I think in our global climate situation, we all gotta rep our Smokey the Bear merch.
That's right. As we are recording, this is June 20th. And unfortunately, this seems to be about that time of the year where California enters into fire season.
Yeah.
So we only have two seasons in California. It's fire and earthquake. So
yeah, pretty much.
I think we're also adding like mass floods into the California cycle now too.
True, depending on what part of the state you live in.
Yeah, for sure. We were
really starting off with
the doom and gloom.
Yeah, man, just jumping into the downers.
The rest of the podcast will be uplifting.
Right.
All right. It's all uphill from here. We like to start on a low note and kind of gradually work everybody into it.
Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you may be thinking to yourself, what is Guard Media? Because that's what you're labeled as right now.
Oh man, yeah. I own a media agency called Guard Media. Mostly branding and brand building and platform building.
Oh, hey, I know a podcast that maybe might benefit from your skills.
Hey, we do a lot of fun stuff. Hit us up.
Nice.
I'm sure I can put the good word in with the founders.
Okay. All right. Let's see. You derailed me already. So
we'll do a hard cut.
That didn't take long at all. All right. Hey, do you guys have any trail names? We usually go by trail names on the podcast here. That unique American tradition where you've picked up a name or it's been given to you because of maybe where you're from or a peculiarity of your personality or maybe something that happened on the trail. Have you guys picked up trail names?
I think we have a bunch of rejected trail names. I know Andy tried to give me one, Sephora, because I was putting chapstick under my under eyes on the trail because I was so desperate for moisturizer. Rejected that. We had a friend, Austin, who has a YouTube channel called Side Trail Adventures, who tried to give me another trail name because I'm slightly allergic to mosquitoes and I was having some issues. But I completely put that trail name out of my brain.
What was that name?
I have no idea.
It was something tragic. Brittany, when she gets stung by a mosquito, gets like about a baseball-sized welt. And so great. When you're through hiking the John Muir Trail in early spring, there's sections with a lot of mosquitoes. So we were sitting by Cathedral Lakes and just enjoying like one of those nights where there's no wind, perfect sunset. That's actually the night that I proposed to Brittany. Yes. And she is wearing shorts. And I was like, do you want to put pants on? And she was like, no, this is the best night. I'm having the time of my life, the whole thing.
Great, yeah.
I proposed. We woke up in the morning. It was like,
and both my legs were
hundreds
swollen. Yeah, it was really fun. And it was a very itchy few days.
Yes. Nothing like marking the occasion with a couple hundred mosquito bites to really like solidify the engagement.
That is unfortunate. Ouch. That just makes me uncomfortable listening to that story. And, we've already dropped the bombshell for the episode. There was a proposal on the trail and she said yes. So a bunch of our listeners are going to tune out right now and say, okay, that was the whole episode.
That was the whole thing. We'll work on some more cliffhangers, but yeah, I think the biggest criticism I got, not from Brittany, but from friends of ours was, you did it too early in the trail, where if she had said no, it would have been a really uncomfortable 180 miles left. So I just went for it, because I kind of felt like if I did it at the end, it was like, if you complete this, I'll propose. And so we went, actually, I just panicked and did it early.
So you were going southbound and you proposed, 30 miles in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Day 2, we started at Happy Isles and we camped at the Cloud Rest Junction on the first night, and second night we camped at Upper Palisade.
Cathedral Lakes?
Or Cathedral Lakes. Yeah.
Palisades were
Cathedral
a bit further on. Yeah.
Yeah, Cathedral. Yeah.
I love that description, Andy. You panicked.
Oh,
I panicked and I just asked her right there, 30 miles in.
Well, you got to imagine you're holding the ring in a sock in the bottom of your pack, and it's like, panicked. Like, I wanted actually the responsibility of carrying it to be someone else's. I was worried I was going to lose it, so I was like, if I just give it to her now,
then I have to not lose it for the rest of the trip.
That's right, but you can wear it on your finger, right?
I mean, I wasn't feeling like I wanted to wear an engagement ring on my finger while I was hiking for 20 days.
Yeah.
I also put it in a sock in the back.
So this story is in contrast. I don't know if you've listened to the Billy Yang episode or if you saw his video that he put together.
Yes.
So it's like the exact opposite.
Yes.
Elon was waiting for the perfect time. He couldn't make up his mind, and he ended up doing it at the very end. And he was panicked about not losing the ring. I think he had it in a pocket in his shirt or something, and was always just paranoid about losing it.
I had made a friend of mine is a woodworker, and we had made a custom box for it. And I had then taken 2 of my largest pair of smart wool socks.
I was like, why are
and double? It was like a football sized package, and we were working really hard to be like borderline hyperlight. Like be on that 10-pound base.
Trying to get the base weight down.
Yeah,
and they're
wrapping
things in layers of socks.
And I just have a tube in the bottom of my pack. It's like, one, you can't I can't show her because it's like that looks very different than the rest of your pack. And then you're like, there's just brought out some extra socks.
Extra socks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Is there's not a lot of secrets on the trail when you're together for that long, right? And so, Britt, I was going to ask, did you ever notice the football size sock formation there, and wonder what that was?
I did not, but what I did notice is this is maybe TMI, but right before he proposed, I was like, I gotta go dig a cat hole. And he's like, okay, go, like that. And I was like, what's going on?
I was like, get out of here. I gotta do stuff at camp. And she was like a little concerned.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
He was enthusiastic about your bathroom visit. That's awesome.
Get the hell out of here.
I was like, I need to take everything out of, because also we have hyperlight packs, so there's not tons of pockets. It's just one pocket, and I had put it at the very bottom, so I had to quickly rip everything out of the pack, get it out, take it out of the socks, which I was not doing a great job of, all in a span of however long the cat hole digging was.
Yeah.
It worked out. She said yes for the listeners.
Perfect timing. Your bowel movements are already aligned in the correct system, the correct timing.
There's some people talk about cycles, and we started off on one of those.
Nice. It means it's meant to be. Congratulations.
Thank
you.
But we digress. Do you have trail names or not?
No,
we do not.
I think just a lot of discarded trail names.
A lot of discarded trail names. We have given some trail names that stuck, but we have rejected the ones given to us. I feel
which maybe makes us bad sports. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's probably some truth to that. I kind of feel like one of the games that we were playing on trail was calling each other trail names to see if something fit, and it never fit. So we just.
I mean, we can't give each other trail names. That's the thing.
That's fair.
And our little group of our little tramley, I think there was only one trail name that stuck in the whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strider.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Andy, if you'll allow me, I mean, just hearing one story from you, and it's a great story. You always have to have the great story behind the trail name. I would throw out the trail name of Panic.
Oh, Panic. I'm not a very panicky person. That's actually one of the only things that's ever panicked me. There's something kind of interesting there, actually, because like I'm a pretty level-headed individual.
Yeah, it would be confusing to our friends if I said your trail name was Panic.
You so we like confusing trail names, and we like trail names with a story behind them. I mean that checks both boxes right there.
I think at the end of the episode, depending on how well we get on, we can kind of check in, get a little like a temperature check. Okay. If it sticks. I like it though. I'm intrigued more than I've been intrigued. So I'll say that.
All right, that's a good start. Yeah. Britt, I will keep my eyes open and my ears open for a similar
awesome
for you. So
I thought Sephora was great when she had the chapstick out. It was
it was.
I think it was day. It was before MTR.
I know it was at Sanger Creek.
It was the night before MTR. So like day 10 or 11, I went to get water, and she's in there with the chapstick.
I have eczema, and I was not, for some reason, hadn't thought that through. It was like 10 days in. I was like, oh God, what have I done? The only thing I have is chapstick. So
she's like blotting it under her eyes, and I was like, trail name, Sephora.
We are learning a lot about you, Britt, right off the bat.
Do you usually get this much information? We've listened to some of the episodes, but this is going pretty deep pretty quick.
This is great. This, sometimes I wonder if I'm ever going to build a chemistry with my guests and get them to open up and tell me things. And we get to the end of the episode, and finally they open up and they share some stories right at the very end. I'm like, well, why didn't we share that earlier? This is not going to be a problem with you guys tonight. I'm already clear. You guys have opened right up. In fact, Britt, I'm just going to throw this out there. You shared your cat hole moment before the proposal. You shared eczema. I mean, maybe your TMI.
Yeah, maybe I have
TMI and Panic. I mean, what a combo.
Also, TMI and Panic as a couple name is
real good. I really like that a lot. I'm down. Okay.
I kind of think that's kind of
all right. We'll try those out. We'll see how it goes.
We have a through hike coming up. We have a very mini through hike coming up. As part of our tramley from the JMT is flying out from North Carolina. As she mentioned, our friends Austin and Joe from Side Trail Adventures. They're coming out to Oregon to hike the Timberline Trail with us in July, and so we'll try it on. I think we'll give it like a test run and see if it settles.
Yeah, and when your friends show up to the trailhead, you just introduce yourselves as Panic and TMI. And see what their reactions are, and they'll say, "Why those names?" And you can then go through the stories and see how that feels, because you're gonna have to tell that story, 40, 50, 60 times, depending on how long the trail is and how many people you encounter.
See, I think you're loading the deck though, because part of you giving us the trail names on the podcast is going to force the story of ours to drive traffic. So I'm not sure. We gotta A/B test this a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to hold you to throwing me in there as well as part of the story. You can just, you've got enough backstory on these names. So
I'm into it.
Okay.
I kind of like them both. They kind of float.
Yeah.
So TMI and Panic. Have you listened to the podcast before?
I have. Yes.
I have not actually.
Okay. So TMI, just to clue you in here, there is a segment towards the end of the episode called the Pro Tip Insight of the Week. That's where I'll turn to both of you and I'll ask you to share some trail wisdom with our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better. Now, you're expected to drop some trail wisdom throughout the episode, but you'll be on the hook for this official one at the end.
Okay. All right.
There's a form that I signed for you. It's a whole
perfect.
thing.
Okay.
That's right. Disclaimer, waiver, whatever you want to call it.
I put your social down. It's fine.
Okay.
The must bring gear review.
Oh, did I jump the gun? I did jump the gun.
Oh, no.
We are gonna get to the must bring gear review, and I'll push that button again. But
soundboard. I think
I'm just pushing buttons. I don't know what's gonna happen here. But before we get to the the must bring gear review, we've got.
It's time for a current event.
That's right, half calf. It's time for a current event. And what I'll do sometimes is I will scan the headlines prior to an interview to see if there's anything out there in the adventure world that merits a discussion. And I found something today. And so I'm going to share this current event, this headline that I saw in the media today, and I'm going to get your reaction to it. All right. So
is it a blind reaction? Should I step out and you get her and then
No, it can be together. Yeah, this is a couple episodes. So, all right. So this comes to our friends from Adventure Journal. And the headline was that 100 kids rescued from the Austrian Alps. Oh my gosh. 100 kids rescued from Austrian Alps hike gone bad.
Oh, no.
And so there are about 100 students, 8 teachers, and they tried to take an unmaintained route up to the summit of Walmendingerhorn. That's just fun to say.
Oh, I know
Walmendingerhorn, which has an elevation of 6,500 feet. I guess one of the teachers in preparation for this hike, he was looking for a shorter route up, and he thought he found one, and he thought it was a maintained route. It was a bit shorter than the main route, and they get up there only to find that it's not maintained. In fact, in addition to the bushwhacking, there is some big time exposure, which means that there is serious altitude, serious drop off, right next to the trail, and it was going to require alpine experience and proper climbing shoes. So there they are. They are stuck at this point. They're in the rain. It's raining, and they have to call for help. And so they call for help, and a rescue team of about 60 people came out, including the local town's mayor, and rescued all 107 of them.
If Peak Walmendingerhorn is in your hometown, the mayor's definitely a climber. Like, for sure. Like, you can't win the mayoral race in the Austrian Alps where Mendingerhorn is if you're not a really proficient climber.
That is a fair point. That makes a lot of sense.
I feel like the group of kids, like, this is really going to split. Like,
yeah,
either you're, after that experience as a child, you're like, I'm all in and I want to like do this all the time and bushwhack and learn how to alpine climb, or you're going to be like, that was the most harrowing experience of my life. I'm absolutely never going outdoors again. I
think that's a really good first like gut check, because I think we actually experience this often on trail when you are surrounded by the like friend introducing their other friend to nature, and they're on like we met people on the JMT that were like really proficient outdoors people that had brought their friend for their first hike and camping trip ever, and they're wearing like triple thick smart wool socks, their feet are bleeding, and they're like, my friend said that this was fun. And it's like, he's
referencing a specific example where we did meet someone where it was their very first backpacking trip was the JMT, and they were doing it in 13 days.
They were trying to do it in 13 days, yeah.
And and I was like, are you okay?
And we met them with him trying to duct tape his feet, like to duct tape the blisters on his feet. But,
yeah. So, definitely. I think a harrowing outdoor experience will send you one of two ways.
Yes.
And that guy on the JMT seemed like he was never going to backpack again.
I also think an 8 to 100 ratio is a really incorrect, like guiding to adventuring ratio. Like if you look at other adventure companies, it's like an inverse ratio. There's like 60 people for 20 people climbing, not like 100 climbers with varying degrees of education and experience with 8 people like, we'll get you up this route we're not sure is a route.
They thought they were on a trail that was not going to involve climbing.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
I feel
that's tough. It's just
yeah, you know what? I love your insights, because those are both great points. A lot of times I'll do a current event and the guest will say,
it's like the Be Rugged. It's really the sticker that we got sent from you guys. It's like, it's really forcing some of those kids to be a little more rugged than they want.
Right. But some of my guests will do a current event and they'll say, oh yeah, that's rough. And that's all I'll get out of them. But you guys gave me some good analysis right there. In fact, I want to talk about this a little bit, because I interview people who, of course, have stuck with it. They are out there. They're doing great things out in the outdoors, and they've got this hiking resume or outdoor adventure resume, and we talk about it. And oftentimes there is a bad experience at first, but they persevere. They stick with it. They go back out. They learn. They adjust, and they make it better. But you bring up a great point, TMI. I wonder, this would be a perfect analysis statistics, because we have about 100 students. Of those 100 students, how many of them persevere and stick it out and do this again? And how many of them say, forget it, I'm not doing this ever again? Because if I just base it on the people I talk to, it'd be 100%, because everybody I talk to is an outdoor adventurer, right?
Sure.
But in real life, and I don't know about the people who have given up. So out of the 100 kids, how many stick with it and how many give up?
So I think this actually depends on if these were like local to the area.
I was going to ask the exact same thing.
Yes, because the thing is, if you live in the Alps, I feel like you have a lot of different opportunities to end up doing
proximity
stuff in the
to
Alps.
this kind of stuff, like glaciers, mountains.
But if this was like a field trip that was like out of the way for these kids, like might be a smaller group. That
Are they from Connecticut or are they from the Alps? Because I think that's going to have a lot to do with the outcome.
I think they're from Austria. I think it was a local, maybe not a local school, but a school in Austria, and they took this trip.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like a good number of them are going to try again. That's where I'm settling. So
Okay, because of their proximity, probably more than not would persevere. If they were from Connecticut, what would the percentage be then?
We're going to lose all of our Connecticut subscribers.
I know. Oh my gosh. Why did we pick a location? I mean, I don't know. It would definitely be a much smaller group.
I think I would be more interested in actually knowing this answer in retrospect, because we were just in the French Alps.
Yes.
And to say like dominated by outdoor sports is an understatement. There is only outdoor activities to do. Like the towns are incredibly small, and then there's mountains and glaciers like in your back, literally the backyard. And so I feel like there would be a really high proclivity of people. Now, I think it depends on the severity of the rescue. Like we're not talking, like the
It sounds like everybody was fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't sound like there was like anything really, had graduated into like the horror movie stuff. So I think there's probably a good likelihood they're going to turn to maybe adventuring. Maybe it even turns a couple first responders out of the deal. Maybe they get inspired to be, more of our
mountain rescue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Upside.
Good point. The best thing that could have happened to those kids is if the teachers or somebody, maybe one of the rescuers, sat them down afterwards and defined for them the different types of fun out there. Type 1 fun, type 2 fun, type 3 fun. This was definitely type 2 fun.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a great story.
Rescue is involved.
I don't know. That seems like type 2 to me. I put that under type 2.
Really?
Yes, because like we said, it's the severity of the rescue. Everyone was fine. So to me, that's
right.
type 2 fun.
I think you're probably right. I think you're right. Okay, I'll go with that.
I think if that debriefing happens after the whole thing is over, I think there's a higher percentage chance that more of them are to continue on with the outdoor adventure life afterwards. Yeah. Especially if you've been rescued by the mayor, right?
Yes,
what a story that is. I mean, that's
100%.
you've been talking about that for a while.
I feel like this is a really good story, and when it's a really good story, you do it again.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's true of a lot of like type 2 fun. If the type 2 fun doesn't have a good story, it's like it doesn't really get told and romanticized. If it turns out great and everybody lives and the mayor saves you, like it graduates into like a proliferating story.
Yeah. And then you're the kid that got rescued by the mayor on the mountain.
Do you think the mayor gave himself the town scissors to cut the like congratulations ribbon?
He gave himself the key.
The key?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Sorry.
He threw a parade in his honor for him rescuing 108 people. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fantastic. I would attend.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All the kids could be parade. It'd be a pretty big parade because there's already over 100 kids.
The float could be like the Black Hawk helicopter that saves them.
I really feel like we are not the right people to be on a podcast.
Yeah, I feel like
we can't stop. I'm sorry.
All right. Hey, I'm going to push another button here and see what happens.
The Must Bring Gear Review.
All right. Now we're at the Must Bring Gear Review, sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company, Six Moon Designs. And here's how it works. If you were let a stranger pack your bag with pretty much generic gear for a multi-day hike, what is the one specific piece of gear you would insist on being packed? And if you've got a particular brand for that specific piece of gear, even better. So TMI and Panic, what is your must-bring piece of gear? And I'm excited because whenever we have a couple, I get to hear about 2 different pieces of gear. So TMI, ladies first.
I don't know. This doesn't really count as gear, but the thing that I really didn't expect to like be obsessed with on trail, but really was a Kindle. They're waterproof. They're super light. The battery life lasts for like a month and a half or something on one charge. It was like the best. I read so many books on the JMT and like it was something I never thought about, and I was really glad I brought it.
Now, you said you read so many books on the JMT. Was it about the JMT or you read books
I was
while
reading
you were
about
on the
books
JMT.
on my Kindle, which is this one is not charged, but
Right, but were they books about the JMT, or were they
no,
other
I was
types of
just
books?
reading like fantasy, a lot of
Okay.
fantasy books.
All right, I didn't know if you were doing full immersion. I'm going to walk the JMT. I'm going to read about the JMT. I'm going to.
I didn't want to spoil it, I wanted to experience it in my own way and not, didn't get any spoilers.
I love that. And so in her credit, so when we had put our full pack together, the decision to buy the Kindles was very close to the actual leaving to go on the hike. And I was a little bit skeptical. And we were also in the headspace of, again, trying to go hyper light and trying to really organize the pack really well. And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, it's like $90. It's waterproof. Again, the battery lasts forever. You can put infinite books on it. And same thing. I ended up buying one. I think this is the whole thing. It weighs next to nothing. And I was thrilled. I read every night. We were in bed at 5:30 at night every night, and read until the sun went down, and it was fantastic.
That's a great must bring piece of gear. I like that one because a lot of people bring photocopies of certain pages of like Elizabeth Wenk's book on the JMT.
Sure.
Instead of bringing the whole book, you could bring the whole book on your Kindle plus a dozen other ones, and it is tiny. I mean, it weighs almost next to nothing. So
I think we have that one. Elizabeth Wenk's. We have that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Every JMT hiker should have a copy of that.
Yeah, I did quite a bit of reading of it before we left.
Very useful resource.
I'm having a hard time between two of my answers. This is Prius.
So Cat Prius.
She's upset that she's not included.
I thought it was Tumbleweed.
Tumbleweed's
This
the
is
other one.
the other one. There's two. There's
Two
Prius
cats.
and Tumbleweed. Yes.
Okay.
You're split between
Must bring piece of gear. Panic.
I was gonna say what's our water filter? The Katahdin.
Yeah.
So we use the Katahdin bee-free water filters. And I would be concerned with the prompt. It was if a stranger were to pack my pack with kind of arbitrary generic gear, I think I would be concerned about not having a water filter. And it's the kind of gear that we just carry everywhere now, through hikes, day hikes, weekend. It's just such an easy thing to have this like minimal viable product of like line of defense for surviving in the outdoors. Because I mean, the kids that got stranded in the Alps, it's like a water filter is a really solid thing to have that doesn't take up weight in your pack. And I think my second one is a weirdly, defense mechanism for me, but sunscreen, man. Like, don't leave home without your sunscreen. from a boy that burns really badly.
Are you of the pale persuasion there? You're like me, you burn up easy.
The Scott Irish descendancy is born for a sunburn.
We actually both hiked the whole thing in long sleeve sun shirts and long sleeve pants. And we had multiple people like ask us like, it's so hot out here. Why are you hiking in long pants and long sleeve shirts? And we were like, because otherwise bad things are going to happen. And we did run into quite a few people that had some pretty bad sunburns. We felt horrible.
They had trail ending sunburns.
Yeah.
And especially at elevation, I think there's like a definite lack of understanding about, I think we're hyper aware of it because I could go outside and garden like I did today and get sunburned in 20 minutes. And so I think we think about it all the time, but we definitely saw people at 10, 12,000 feet that I don't think understand that elevation makes you sunburn faster and more severely. And I think we're wearing shorts and t-shirt and we're like, yeah, I'll get a little bit of miles in and put some sunscreen on, and saw them like,
I just wouldn't be able to put enough sunscreen on to.
And that's the next thing. I don't want to put sunscreen on all day. I'd rather wear a sun hoodie and pants and not do that.
Yeah.
I am right there with you. Long pants and a sun hoodie. That was it's ideal gear right there.
Yeah.
And TMI doesn't have to, get bitten by all the bugs.
Yeah.
That's right.
It also helped with that.
Yeah, it saves on your pack weight and how much bug spray and sunscreen you have to carry.
Yes.
How much, all the DEET you're like trying to put on the outside of the clothes too, to make them not bite through the clothes because they're a little, vicious.
Yeah. And I rub DEET on my face. You're probably not supposed to do that. So I mean,
Oh.
just a disclaimer here. Don't necessarily do as I do, but I hate the bugs. So I rub that. I get like pure DEET wherever I can find it, and get it in my hands, rub it around, and then just wipe it all over my face.
Just make a quick stop on the dark web and order that pure synthetic deep.
Yeah, and I know I'm at the right level of deepness on my face when my lips go numb. That's when I know. Stop.
Don't you love that?
Don't put any more on.
You're not having a good time unless your lips go numb from too much.
That's
deep.
right. That's right. Again, don't send me any hate email. Don't do that. Don't follow my poor example.
We'll post it and tag you.
Yeah, nice.
Hey,
like the name.
Yes. Okay.
It's the hiking pole.
All right. It's time for the hiking pole. And it's POLL, not POLE. So it's not like the pole you carry in your hands out there. This is a survey, a 7-question survey that's going to help me determine how sane or not you are. So 100 is completely sane. Number 1, if you score a 1 or a 0, you're completely insane. So
good. Okay.
I've changed this up a little bit because I just thought it'd be fun to talk about maybe some non-hiking stuff. So these questions actually have nothing to do with hiking. These are some of the big issues that we are wrestling with as a society. And so I wanted to get your take on these.
Going to be single ply or double ply toilet paper?
And there is no rhyme or reason into the scoring. It's just whether or not I agree with either your answer or the argument behind your answer.
Okay.
All right. So you ready?
Yep.
Are you a little bit nervous about this?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Okay. All right. We'll take it slow. To get us warmed up, here's question number 1. I want a question from each of you. Each one of you is going to get a score on this. So, all right. We'll start with Panic. You answer this one first, since TMI went first on the last one. Panic, do you sleep with your socks on? And this is just in real life, not in hiking
way.
life.
I'm not a serial killer.
What's that? Say it again.
No way. I'm not a serial killer. Do we need to edit that?
No, that's fine. That's good.
See, I made the judgment there for you and answered the question.
You did.
So,
boy, put the pressure on TMI. I mean, how is she going to answer?
I have a problem. I go to bed with socks on, and then at some point in the night, I kick them off. And so there's just a pile of socks at the end of the bed all the time. That's my answer.
That sounds familiar. That does sound familiar. You know, I have to tell you that Mrs. Doc, she always wakes up in the morning and she says, "Why are all the covers on your side? I was freezing this morning. I didn't have any covers." And I tell her, I say, "Look, we start off with the covers are equal on the bed. They're not hanging over one side or the other. They're equal. But when you violently kick them off in the middle of the night because you are too hot, guess where they go? They go to my side."
Fascinating. There are parallels between our lives.
All right. We're off to a good start here. Question number 2. We'll just alternate. So TMI, this one, you go first on this one. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Oh God, I'm going to end up being ranked insane at the end of this. I do like pineapple on pizza. I'm sorry, everyone.
Pineapple on pizza is not pizza.
Wow, I love this. You guys have very strong, unwavering viewpoints here. And she said yes at Cathedral Lake.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so TMI, why pineapple on pizza? And Panic, why not pineapple on pizza?
I don't know, it's just delicious. I can't help it.
I think it's because as what I would consider an institutional pizza consumer, right? Someone who's based a large percentage of the food pyramid on pizza for myself, that, I think just a cheese pizza is like peak human creation, right? It's like one of society's greatest moments was the cheese pizza. And so it's
right up there with inventing the wheel and the fire. Right?
Fire,
cheese pizza.
And cheese
fire, right.
And it's like, I think everything after that was a descent into kind of a knockoff. And then I think at the end of that list, fruit started getting added out of boredom and lack of other new inventive ways.
But it's like kind of acidic and like it just adds, I don't know. I like it.
I'll give a defense to pineapple pizza though. I will say I have only tried pineapple pizza twice, and both times were not from, I think, like a pizza restaurant or like a pizza maker. Just, I think like something terrible, like
a bar.
No, like someone had ordered pizza and it was from Papa John's or something, and it was just like I couldn't do it. So I will give the defense that I'm open to trying good pineapple pizza. I've just never had good pineapple pizza.
I will say
Panic.
I haven't had it since we've gone vegetarian, because typically it's the Hawaiian pizza with the ham or something.
True.
And I haven't had it since we've been vegetarian. Yeah. But in my past life, yes, pineapple pizza all the way.
Are you both vegetarian or just you, TMI?
Yeah, we're both.
We both went vegetarian. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
We hiked the JMT vegetarian.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Panic, I've had a lot of guests on the show. I think we're closing in on 200 episodes. So I've talked to a lot of people. You may be the first pizza philosopher I've had on the show.
I'll take the title. I'm changing all of my LinkedIn's across the board.
When you talk about being an institutional pizza consumer, and then you go on a rant about the perfect pizza being the cheese and everything is just kind of devolved from there.
A little bit of conspiracy and a little bit of edgy content can really help push the metrics for you.
He is very passionate about pizza and has been since I met him. So this is totally on brand.
And she still loves me, so we're working all right.
Okay. Question number 3. Panic, do you roll your toilet paper over or under?
Roll it over or under?
Yeah, hanging on the wall, not on the trail, on the wall. Oh, he's getting up. He's going to look.
On the hand or the wall?
On the wall.
On the wall.
On the wall. When you put it.
Does your toilet paper roll over?
Oh.
Or do you have to grab underneath and get it?
Oh,
I don't do that.
Whichever way it comes out of the drawer, whichever way I pick it up and put it on.
Oh, wow.
Life is way too short to spend time thinking about the angles there. Like, you just pick it up, put it on, I pull it off, rip it, use it.
Now, I don't want to taint TMI's answer here, but when I asked you the first question, you said I'm not a sociopath. I mean, I don't know. You may have tendencies there.
I think there's probably some truth to that. That's fair. That's fair.
All right, TMI.
I say over, always over.
Does that mean it rolls off the front?
Off the top.
Yeah.
Comes towards you.
Yes.
Correct.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind when I do that.
Look at that. I'm solving problems for you too.
I appreciate that. I actually had never even thought about it. I just put it on.
Now, TMI, is that a firm stance on the rollover?
Yes. Yes.
If you find yourself at a friend or a relative's house and you're on the throne and you notice that they do it under, do you fix it for them?
No.
You're not that obsessed by it then.
You're all welcome to put your toilet paper on the roll however you want.
Now, do you change it when I do it wrong?
No. No. Because
wow.
So I will say too, like, we have 2 bathrooms. One is on the top floor, one is in the basement. Andy works in the basement, I work on the top floor. So like generally I feel like the bathroom at the top of the house is mine and the bathroom down here is yours. So whatever happens down here is not my problem.
I love this journey for us. It's working out great.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 4. TMI, how do you pronounce the brief video pictures that are spelled GIF? How do you pronounce that?
Oh, God.
I think we've actually talked about
We have talked about this. I switch back and forth, but I think generally I say GIF.
I think I say GIF as well. Well, I think we've actually had a long conversation about this, and I think we were both curious. Is there actually a difference? Because is there a GIF and a GIF that are
No,
they're both.
Yeah.
I think I say GIF.
We're a great interview.
Yes, this is fascinating.
It's a good thing that the crowd can also see you just kind of like, whoa, these two.
Wow.
Born to be alone in the woods.
Yeah, sometimes I just let you go. We'll see what happens.
That's fair.
All right, question number 5. Cats or dogs? I think I know the answer to this question.
Ooh, yep. I'm
Oh,
probably.
it's Panic's turn.
So I love both, but cats are great because you don't have to walk them all the time.
I think we're both in the strong. All animals are awesome, and we're super into all of them. But cat, I think for our lifestyle, as much outdoor stuff as we do, and especially there's a lot of places you can bring your dog, but a lot you can't. And I think for our lifestyle right now, it makes a lot of sense. And we were also living in Los Angeles before, which is like not having a yard and just being inside. Cats, I think, make a lot more sense. But yeah.
That was a very long answer.
Cats.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Cats.
All right, but you did say all animals, but it just that cats suit your lifestyle at this point. Do you walk your cats? Do you put them on a leash and walk them around?
So Tumbleweed, we don't know how old he is, but he is quite old. He has very few teeth left. He's diabetic, and he's just an old man. He's very chill. So we have taken him outside. We put him on a harness. He doesn't love the harness, but he will very slowly wander around outside if you're with him. So
we also walk him without a leash now because he's so slow that he can't run away.
Yeah.
So I am hearing that you have put a leash on a cat. I need to note that in my tally of your score here.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Very good.
He's deducting points over there. Like, no.
All right. Question number 6. I think Panic was supposed to answer that question first last time, but TMI jumped in. So Panic, your turn now. Do you use the Oxford comma?
He doesn't even know what that is. So
okay, that's okay. That's okay. Not everybody's a former English teacher like myself. So Oxford comma is and another way to ask this is
it a British comma?
If I say that the flag is red, white, and blue, how many commas do you use?
Red, comma, white, comma, blue.
Yeah, so you use an Oxford comma.
There you go. Is that good or bad?
I use an Oxford comma.
We use Oxford commas.
Yes.
Staunchly in the Oxford comma category.
You two are solid in my point of view. Fantastic.
Yes.
Wait, so just to clarify, is there such a thing as another placed comma?
No, you just wouldn't use the second comma, so it would be red, white, and blue, but not the comma in front of the and.
Yeah, there's been a deterioration. There's been a deterioration of American society where they have stopped using the Oxford comma. They're saying that the conjunction and is enough of a separator between white and blue. Why use that second comma? Which it's a slippery slope. You get rid of the Oxford comma. What's next? I mean, it's
so Doc, in your opinion, what does come next societally?
I think we're seeing it all around us, actually.
Yeah, I take
that up poorly.
Yeah, it all started with getting rid of the Oxford comma.
We all promised it was going uphill after the beginning, so.
Yeah, right? Gosh.
Yes. All right. TMI question number 7. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Yeah, definitely not.
Absolutely not.
There's no chance.
What is the definition of sandwich?
A sandwich.
Yeah. How would you define it? If you're explaining it to an alien?
I think it's definitive slice of bread, things in between it, slice of bread on top. With a hot dog, the bun is often attached still, and you wedge the hot dog in the middle. I'm sorry why I'm making all these hand gestures to explain this, but I don't think a hot dog is a sandwich.
I've heard this argument before. It all hinges on the hinge in the bread, right?
Yes.
So his next question is going to be: is a cheeseburger a sandwich?
No, is a hoagie a sandwich?
Oh, yes.
Because a hoagie also has hinged bread.
Oh, man, shoot.
Is a hoagie a hot dog? These are the heavy-hitting questions that everybody's tuning in for. See, my discrepancy with this is that I just think the tubular and singular nature of the meat product itself is the definitive factor, because I think the hinge is valid and it also prompts the hoagie question. But for me, it's the abnormal or very singular use cased meat shape.
Yeah, you wouldn't put that.
Like I'm not lining rounded chunks of ham, tubular ham in my, previous life's ham sandwiches. The sandwich.
All my hand gestures.
I'm not sure. I'm worried if I should put tubular ham in the show notes or not.
I don't know. I think maybe this is a section you should axe.
Tune in for Bat Hikers discussing lost kids in the Austrian Alps, a mayor that saves them, and tubular ham.
You can just write the summary for me. That's perfect. All right.
We'll send it over.
Awesome.
We'll give you some notes.
All right. Hey, let me do some quick math here. See where you fall on the sanity scale.
Yeah.
I gotta carry the 2. I've got to divide by pi, multiply by the root of 5, and we have to adjust for the atmospheric pressure at 14,505 feet.
Of Mount Whitney.
And TMI, you come out with a solid 65.
Woo!
65. And Panic, you're a little bit closer to the crazy scale at a 55. So 65 and 55.
Cool.
Well done.
That sounds about right.
I think the consensus is that that's also pretty accurate in real life. So
that's usually my follow-up question is, how would your friends rate you on a scale from 1 to 100?
Oh.
A scale from 1 to crazy.
100 is completely sane.
Yeah. 100 is completely sane. So I'm slightly more sane than you. And I think, I don't know. I feel like 65 is a pretty good number for me. Yeah.
I think so. I'm happy with 55.
You know what those scores tell me? Those scores tell me you two are a fun time.
We've heard this. Right enough in the median to keep things spicy all the time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
but not
right.
like,
all right. Hey, before we get too far down the trail, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about where you grew up, what kinds of sports and hobbies you played growing up, and how you got involved in the thru hiking cult. And of course, you have to tell us how you met. So who wants to go first?
Right. Ooh, I'll go first. So I'm a reformed indoor kid. Not much of an outdoor kid growing up at all. Occasionally car camped with some, friends, families. But my very first backpacking trip was the year before we started the John Muir Trail. And
to Duck Lake.
Yeah. So I went from 0 to 100 really quickly. Not a lot of sports. I played golf for all 4 years of high school.
Against your will.
Against my will. And that's my entire outdoor and sport history.
And where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Los Angeles.
Where in Los Angeles?
So I grew up in a suburb that was south of LA. So Torrance, California.
Yep, I'm familiar with Torrance.
Oh, cool.
I'm in a suburb that's north of LA, Santa Cruz.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. Okay. Any brothers or sisters? TMI.
I've got a younger brother named Christopher.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to find a trail name for him too.
Yeah. We got to get him on a trail before he gets trail name.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair point.
He said, former indoor kid. My brother's still an indoor kid.
He's still stuck in the indoors. Got it. All right. How about you, Panic?
So I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. Upstate being the actually up the state, not the close to New York City, but not New York City kind of upstate, outside of the Syracuse. Yeah, sticks. Grew up on a big piece of land in the middle of a bunch of big pieces of land that nobody really owned. So definitely the parenting technique was you're not allowed inside until the sun goes down kind of thing, on a bunch of land. So definitely the opposite of an indoor kid. Definitely played sports in high school, played basketball, played golf. And yeah, I think early childhood outdoors was hiking in the Adirondacks with my mom and siblings at 8 years old, and building trails on our property and things like that. So kind of a lifelong pursuit.
Nice. And how did the two of you meet?
We were in the same Burning Man camp.
Not a Burning Man. As one does.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Just your typical story of a reformed indoor kid and an outdoor kid getting together and meeting at Burning Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
That's where all love stories start. you know, half naked.
Did you happen to see my sister there?
Oh, I don't know.
She frequents Burning Man quite a bit. So
there were a lot of people there.
Yeah,
it was a big crowd.
Did you meet anybody named Laura?
I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But also, you know, there are like names on the playa, much like trail names.
They are playa names.
Yeah. So I don't know if she was going by Laura.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know a whole lot about her trips there. I guess what happens at Burning Man stays at Burning Man,
unless you get engaged.
and then it's TMI.
Yeah. Ooh, it's catching on.
I know. No.
All right, and hey, how do the two of you pay your bills or finance your adventures? What do you guys do for a living?
We are both in marketing, the very exciting world of marketing.
That's right, Guard Media.
Yeah.
Do you both work for Guard Media, or have you declined to hire
her? I have tried to hire her on several occasions. She is the brains behind the operation over here. So I own Guard Media and have been doing so with my business partner for the last 5 or so years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just work for a big company and
market stuff.
All right. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get to that part of the United States that we all love so much, the High Sierras and the John Muir Trail. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. And welcome back. We are talking to Britt and Andy, tentatively known as TMI and Panic. And now we're going to, not to say that the previous stuff hasn't been good stuff, but now we're going to get to the really good stuff, which is time in the Sierras and the John Muir Trail. And so how did you guys hear about the John Muir Trail?
Ooh, the JMT was like childhood dream of mine. Growing up in New York, I had, there was an old Nat Geo that I had ripped a page out of that was the Muir Hut. And it was an issue commemorating I believe the Sierra Club and the work that they were doing. And it was a time of expansion. This was the 90s, I think. And I literally had the page ripped out of the National Geographic and had it on the wall. So like, I think early on when we went backpacking for the first time at Duck Lake, I was like, we should hike the John Muir Trail. And Brittany on her first backpacking trip was like, yeah, that'd be great.
Sure. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd only heard of it because I had a family friend who owned a condo in Mammoth Lakes, which was like basically what we used as our jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been going up to the Sierras in high school and had, you know, gone to some of the places where people cross the trail. I'd been to Red's Meadow and like seen hikers pass through. So that's how I knew about it. But I don't think I really understood what I was getting into. Yeah, it was just like, cool. I love the Sierras. Like, I like hiking. It's great. Let's go.
I think always a very cool moment for me is to talk about kind of what we expected before we started the hike, and then how the hike lived up to those expectations. How did reality compare to our expectations before going on the hike? So, I mean, was it drastically different for you guys, or did it pretty much live up to what you thought it was going to be?
You wanna?
You first.
Okay. I think that I didn't really have expectations. I honestly was worried I wasn't going to be able to do it. Because like I said, I hadn't been backpacking for that long. Like we had spent the year leading up to it doing a lot of like longer distance hikes, but like I'd never done anything like this. I think like the longest backpacking trip I had been on before this was like 3 days. Yeah. So no idea what to expect, was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And for the first like week on trail, like I was struggling. It was really hard. It was a big adjustment. And I think about like day 9 is when like I got to the point where I was like strong enough that I was really enjoying myself instead of just trying to like survive every day. And then after that, like I had a blast. But I mean, it was just as beautiful as I expected. Cause I'd spent some time in the Sierras and like it was really cool getting to do the big passes, because those were things like I'd seen a bunch of pictures of, I'd watched a bunch of video, and it's just like until you see it in person, like you have no idea what that's gonna feel like, and it's like being on another planet. It was really cool.
Until you're sitting at the bottom of Glen Pass looking up, it's like it doesn't quite click yet.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think it exceeded expectations for me because, especially thinking about it for so long in the context of wanting to do it, I think the part that I had focused on my whole life, especially growing up on the East Coast, where there's a phenomenal outdoor community there, but it's I think the maybe the romanticism of the mountains and the aesthetic of the Sierras was something that was so iconic to me, and having Whitney and all of that I had been thinking about it through a visual context a lot and not as much of an emotional impact context. And especially also hiking it with my partner and Brittany, I had also been very focused on trying to be as good of a hiking partner as possible. I knew going into it that I could do it. And I had done a lot of, never something 250 miles, but I've done some stuff in the Yukon and growing up in the East Coast with kind of a forced outdoor life. Like, my brother and I would see how long we could spend outside in the summertime without coming home. I had kind of gamified the outdoors at a very young age. So I think the thing that exceeded my expectations was the impact that it had on me personally, that had nothing to do with how pretty it was or how beautiful the trail was. It was like falling in love with nature again really happened there for me, instead of it just being a playground. And I think the subtle difference between those two was what really shocked me.
Yeah, I want to go back to a point that Brittany made. Sorry, not Brittany.
Whoa.
Britt, also TMI. A point that TMI made about, the first day or two, those are always the toughest days. I mean, you're looking forward to something and you get out there and you are immediately hit with hiking at altitude with a full pack, and you're wondering to yourself, what have I gotten myself into? But then you eventually get your trail legs. You get your trail legs and you hit your stride and you really start to enjoy it. But those, every big hike I do, it's always that first day. I'm like, oh, I'm too old for this now. But then you get used to it. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, our first day, you just said it, like it was 110 degrees, like
in the valley,
in Yosemite Valley. And it was just like the combination of that, the like weight of the pack, the fact that you're just like hiking straight up and out of the valley that day. Like, I was like, what the heck am I doing? Like, I'm going to get heat stroke on day one and have to go home. And I just think that like, it's just so funny and interesting to like see how much stronger you get as you do it. It's like, that's the only way to do it. It's like, you just have to like know that when you start out, like you're gonna be struggling, because unless you're like literally backpacking all day, every day, like the best way to get in shape for a thru hike is to just do the thru hike, I think.
I totally agree.
Yeah. And I still like, I look back at that and I can't believe that I did that, but it's the coolest thing ever.
And it's not to say that we weren't in shape. I mean, we were doing as TMI had said earlier in the podcast, that she has family that had a place in Mammoth. So we were fortunate enough to spend a couple weeks before the actual thru hike in Mammoth hiking, and we were doing 40 to 50 miles a week as kind of a benchmark. And Mammoth is 8,000 feet ish, give or take, and all the hikes are roughly around 9 or 10,000 feet. So we were in really good shape, and it's still really punishing.
It still was really hard. Like, I was like, we've done all of this, like we've been hiking at elevation, and like it still kicked my butt. Yeah.
You just have to thru hike and get your trail legs.
That's right. Now, Panic, in addition to planning for the trip and looking forward to the trip, you were also preoccupied because you had this proposal that you knew you were going to do. How did that impact the early days of the hike?
It's funny. We both had a very busy pre-hike life, work, family. There was a lot happening in our life at the time, on top of a big portion of the through hike that I think it's the least romanticized is how painful the like food prep is and like getting your resupplies in the right place. And I think also just the stress that comes with that, not even the doing of it, just the mental space it occupies. And I actually designed the ring with a mutual friend of ours from Burning Man, who's a jeweler, and we finished it only 4 weeks before we left for Mammoth. So a lot of the pre-hike for me was back and forth with the design and the process and the renders of all that stuff. And then when it got delivered, there was a very quick like ferreting it away underneath the bed and taking it out of the box, making sure it's real, and then wrapping it back in the sock and then trying to have her not find it. You know, it was a lot of mental energy put into this hiding process. And I think, of course, thinking about like how you want to ask and where you want to ask, and you have all these great plans, and then you're there, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it now.
I mean, to be fair, like Cathedral Lake's
pretty good spot,
spectacular. Like, I'm really glad you proposed there. Anywhere you would have proposed on that hike would have been great.
The JMT makes it. There's plentiful vistas for good proposal spots.
Nice. Now, what did you guys think was the bigger challenge out there? Was it the mental game of just knowing you had to hike that many miles and do it over and over again each day, or was it the physical challenge?
Oh gosh, I think for me it was mental. I had this like problem where I would like psych myself up and be like, I can do more miles today. And then I would just at the end like collapse, like because I had pushed past that point like every day. And it took so long to get to a point where I really like understood like where I was at and was like able to make clear decisions about like, no, Brittany, you don't have to do this. Like, maybe don't hike that extra, like, whatever mileage. You don't need to. You're already ahead of schedule. Like, don't kill yourself on this very long hike. Yeah, I think it was way more of a mental battle than I expected. I thought that the main thing I was going to be dealing with was the physical stuff, but it actually was just like, it's like really crazy in your head, just being like, oh my God, what am I doing? What is this? All these decisions throughout the day, like, is this the right call? Like, is this where we should stop? Should we try to get ahead so that we can make it easier for ourselves tomorrow? And it just felt like a constant negotiation.
I think the negotiation is a good phrase for that, because it's tied to physical, but the difficulty is in the mental process required to make sound decisions around the physical, right? And I think that for most, I don't know what the right word, most people that aren't consistently through hiking, right, as their life. So most people on trail, you're almost never in a situation where you're forced into a very high physically strenuous position every day without real clear outs. Like, there's places you can get off trail very easily, but there's also like, I can hike the 15 miles to the next camp, or I can hike the 18 miles into town and quit. And it's like, so there's just this, I think there's this always, as you were saying, this renegotiation where we would hit this point every day where we'd kind of get to our objective. We'd gone over the pass. We knew we were at campsites, and it was like, if you want to get 2 more miles in and another 1,000 feet of vert, we'll have an easier day, a more mellow day tomorrow. What do you think? And we'd look at the map and be like, yeah, sure. Like, I feel pretty good now. And then really quickly, it's like, oh, I had way less energy than I thought I did. But it's hard to kind of be in tune with that until you're 10, 12, 13 days in, where you have a really clear understanding, I think, of like what the body's telling you.
I think as you get stronger, you get more mentally clear. So it's kind of like...
Yes, for sure. Super true.
That's great. Now, how many days did you take to do the JMT?
We
21.
Yeah.
But our last day was just hiking out of.
Yeah, we summited Whitney on the 20th day. On the morning, I don't know, we left at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Summited Whitney on the 20th day, and then hiked. I forget what it's called. Not Trail Camp, which I think is the first camp when you're going down the Golden Staircase. The second one that's like just above.
Oh, you mean the 99 switchbacks?
The 99 switchbacks, yeah.
I don't remember
what the second camp. But yeah, the one's like just outside the portal when you're going down.
Yeah, there's a camp that's like 3 miles up from the portal.
Yeah. We stayed there. We were like I think mostly because we didn't want it to be over. It wasn't like we didn't want to leave. It was like, we have another day in the permit, and we were kind of trying to, there was some thunder and lightning storms on Whitney we had been hearing for the days before. So we were trying really hard to get ourselves in a position at Guitar Lake where we could have 2 days to try and summit Whitney in case it was bad. So we finished a day early, and we're like, well.
And we just, we got down off the 99 switchbacks, got to the campsite, and went to bed at like 3 p.m.
Woke up and ate creme brulee from Backpacker Pantry's creme brulee at like 7 p.m.
And then went back to bed and slept like 10 hours. It was glorious. And just had a really chill day on our 21st day, wandering down and ordering a bunch of food at that little restaurant at the portal.
Yeah, you didn't even make it to Hiker Midnight.
Nope.
No.
Not even close.
No.
Now, speaking of wanting the trip to go on, not wanting to get off trail, did you guys suffer from the post-trail blues?
100%.
Yeah, it's tough. It's
We
tough.
were suffering from it before we even finished the trail.
Yeah, I actually I think the last couple days, I was getting really emotional because I was not ready for it to be over. And we just kept getting closer and closer to that. And I was like, I can't. We were up on Forester Pass, and I just started bawling.
Yeah.
I was like, that was the last pass. I'm so devastated.
Yeah.
This is why the trail is such a great metaphor for life. Because even on the trail, you find yourself looking forward, and if you look back on your life, when you're young, you're always looking forward. What's going to happen? When can I drive? What school am I going to go to? Who's going to be my girlfriend? What college am I going to go to? What's my career going to be? When am I going to get married? You're always looking forward.
Yeah.
And then there's some point in your life where you're looking back, and you're like, oh, remember the good old days? Remember we did this and we did that. It is so difficult to stay in the moment. And I think that is the key. That's one of the things that, as an old man, I've learned, that it is very important to stay in the moment and appreciate it when it happens. Because I totally get that. Because, once you're past the halfway point in a hike like that, you're thinking, oh God, it's going to end. It's going to end. And I'm going to be sad. And that really taints your experience for the second half.
I think, we had this conversation almost just jokingly before the trail, and then in the early days of, I have always really wanted to hike the PCT. And we were having this joking conversation about when are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? And I think up until then you were like,
Yeah, the beginning of the hike when I was really physically struggling, I was like, I don't know if I can do the PCT.
And we were sitting on top of Forester crying about it being over. And she was like,
I just have to hike the PCT.
She was like, I want one shower and then we're back on trail. Just give me 1 day in the shower, do some laundry, and I'm right back to trail. It's a funny flip. It really, and I think we were listening to something, I forget what it was.
Oh, it was New Hampshire Public Radio.
That's right.
They have a podcast that they had an episode on hiker blues and talking to hikers about what that was. And we had a very long conversation about it of it's almost like every day you wake up and you have a very definite goal in mind. And you're just spending your day moving towards this one definite goal. And life is very simple and clear.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that just the feeling of being on trail just feels so right, because it's I'm working towards this thing and I'm doing it every day, and I've got this singular focus, and I'm in this beautiful landscape, and I'm overcoming challenges, and I'm really excited, and I feel really proud of myself when I do something I don't think I can do. And it's a very simple life.
And a lot of those answers I think are really hard to get in off trail life. The sense of daily achievement, the sense of accomplishment, the amount of in shape you are, how physically, I can only speak for us, but I felt better than I had ever felt on day 18. I felt healthier, stronger. Speaking of TMI, our gut was great. I know, we felt great. We were in really good shape. And we ran up Whitney. Brittany was worried about how Whitney Day was going to go, and we hiked it at night with a full moon, no headlamps. It was just perfect going up the switchbacks. Got to Trail Crest, dropped the packs, and Brittany was I could see it in her eyes, okay, here comes the hard part. And then we're at the top, and she was like, oh my God. And I think you don't realize how capable you've become And I think that sense, that what was described in the show we were listening to, was the sense of loss. Actually, it's the post-trail blues is the sense of loss of what you've just lost, that daily sense of accomplishment and achievement, the goals that you're going for every day. And I think the clarity, like there's this huge sense of, I know exactly what I'm here to do today. And then you get back to your normal life, and speaking of two people that work in marketing, it's like, I don't think there's ever a clear objective. And if there is, like, I missed it a long time ago, you know? But yeah.
That is well said. I think the simplicity of purpose, the clarity out there. And I think it says something about our modern world when we get depressed going back to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. Yeah. It's a funny thing for sure. I mean, we finished, not to flip flop segments here, but like we finished the trail and moved out of California in 45 days.
Yeah.
And like have a garden in the backyard now, and, you know, made some changes.
Yeah. And
Okay.
part of that was just like the lead up to the trail was like, we know that there are things in our day-to-day life that we don't love. And it was like the clarity of being on trail was like, oh no, like we're ready to like switch it up.
Absolutely.
No.
Let's put a pin in that, and then let's go back to the trail just for a sec. Do you have any favorite moments other than the proposal? Any favorite moments or favorite campsites from the JMT?
Oh yeah. So I think Lower Palisade Lake, which is you go up the Golden Staircase. It was like the end of the day, and we're like, no, we're gonna do the Golden Staircase today. We'd already done Muir
All
Pass.
of our tramley was at the bottom at those campsites. They were all like, no way.
Yeah, and we decided, as we said, I made a lot of miscalculations, but it was like, let's go, let's just knock this out. So tomorrow we just have to do Mather, and we slugged our way up the Golden Staircase, and I was like, oh my God. And we get to the top and there's no one there.
Literally not one camper.
And it's just this pristine lake. And like we had our pick of campsites and we just set up, and there was, I mean, I don't know if it was a full moon, but you could see the moon before like the sun had even set.
It like comes up right over Mather Pass. So if you can remember Palisade, right when you start to get where the trail's on the lake, right above you, there's a really steep hill. And Britt put her pack down, TMI put her pack down, and I was like, I'll go scout for sites, and just like drop my pack, scrambled up the hill, and there's just a campsite right there, right on the top on a gravel, kind of little flat gravel pad. And we just set it up and we unzipped the tent, and it's just Palisade Lake
and the moon
and the moonrise. And it was like, oh my gosh. Like one guy walked past us coming Nobo, and he just celebrated his 55th birthday. He had a fly rod. We were like, how are you? He was like, I didn't catch a thing. I'm having the best day of my life. Bye. And it just so like articulately described that euphoria that I think everyone's in out there that is there for this kind of reason of the things we've been talking about. You know, he was like a fisherman. He's like, I haven't caught a thing on my birthday, and it's the best day of my life. You know? Yeah.
That is an epic story of being up at Lower Palisade by yourself with the moon coming up over Mather Pass. That's just what a sight.
I think the other one was the girl on Forester.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I think the other thing for me that stands out a lot is you got a second for a story?
Oh, absolutely. I always have a second for a story.
All right. So we're hiking up Forester Pass, and we had resupplied in Independence the day before. So we had camped, was that Bullfrog? Just under like where you can camp, like away from Bullfrog. So, you know, we started, it was 9 miles to the top of Forester. It's a long day before you get over Forester. And so right when we're getting up into the like switchback section where you're going up Forester, honest to God, I look down and there's a gummy, like a fruit snack, right? Like a gummy. This is bad information, right? I'm going to tell you bad trail ethics. There's a gummy snack in the trail, and I shoo it off the trail. No joke. 2 hours later, we're at the top of Forester, sitting down. Both of us are bawling our eyes out, talking about the impact that this trail has had on us, the sense of finality, and we're eating gummy snacks, like the energy chews, right? We're sitting there with a bag of energy chews. And this girl comes up who's hiking the PCT, we discover, in kind of sections because there had been some fire trouble. So she had kind of been trying to stay away from that. And she was deaf.
Yeah.
And she says, we were talking to her about hiking the PCT alone as a deaf individual. And she's just super positive. Like you can tell in her face, like blissed out, just so stoked to be there. And she's like, oh, can I have a gummy? And no, Brittany was like, do you want a gummy? And she was like, oh, I would love one. And takes a gummy and she goes, you guys want to hear a joke? I'm like, yeah, totally. And she goes, so a JMTer is hiking on the trail and drops some food. And then another JMTer comes behind that JMTer and kicks the food off the trail. And then the PCTer comes up behind the two JMTers, sees the dirty food, picks it up and eats it. And she goes, and I picked up a gummy further back on the trail, and I go, I kicked that gummy. And it was like, and it's so encapsulated because there's like these versions of through hiking, right?
Yeah.
There's the JMT length, and then there's the PCT crowd. And it was like so encapsulated, this difference of like, I just had a resupply 12 hours ago. I see a gummy and I'm like, whatever.
It's a dirty gummy. I'll just knock it
And
aside.
she's like, yeah, I just saw a gummy back there, 4 miles back and ate it. And I was like,
yeah, she was telling a story. She was telling a story to kind of summarize the differences between the types of hikers out there.
Yes.
And that story literally happened.
yeah,
Yes.
it was.
It was very weird.
It was this kind of like synchronistic magical moment about like meeting these two groups of people, PCT and JMT, and just sharing some beautiful words at the top of Forester as I think she was 2 or 3 months in and had another couple months. And it was right after this, California closed all of their state and national parks due to wildfire. And she was bouncing up to Oregon or Washington.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a favorite moment.
Yeah, it was a very cool moment.
Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations on your engagement. Congratulations on completing the John Muir Trail. The John freaking Muir Pod has partnered up with the Rugged Outdoorsman and has sent you guys a commemorative coin for completing the JMT. And Panic is holding that up right now. It's got two sides to it, of course. Can you describe what's on each side there, Panic?
I can, for sure. So the front side, you want to say?
Yeah, it says 211 miles, the John Muir Trail, Yosemite to Mount Whitney.
And the back?
The back is a quote: walk away quietly in any direction and taste the freedom of the mountaineer, John Muir. Attitude, respect, and perseverance. And it's got a pair of boots walking away from you.
So I always feel like when I finish something big that I want to have a token to kind of remind me of that accomplishment. And the folks, JB and his son over at the Rugged Outdoorsman, they have created these commemorative coins to help remember events like this, along with other things on their website. So take a look at their Instagram account, Rugged Outdoorsman, and their website, and see what kind of commemorative items you can select from there. So it also comes with did JB send you a stand to go with that?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's right here. And so, yeah, it sits in it like that. It's actually, it's really nice, actually. We've had several people on the trail in the first 40 miles say, I want to be the first to congratulate you about hiking the John Muir Trail. And in the beginning, we were very...
It just seemed kind of funny.
Yeah, I was like, well, we got 160 miles to go. And at the time, it's like, I don't know if we're going to make it. And it seemed very funny. And at the end, when we were going to cut through Cottonwood and like to Mount Whitney, we passed hikers on their first, second, third day, hiking the Nobo JMT and full of questions and concern, just like we were. And
we were like, we want to be the first to congratulate you. And they were like, okay. But it's like, when you get to that, it's like, you're wrapping up this huge thing and you've got like all these emotions, and like there's not necessarily a team of people there to give you high fives and like
yeah.
So it was really nice to get this in the mail. It was cute.
It sits on my desk.
Yeah.
It's like it's something that it makes me very happy to think about.
Fantastic. I was just suggest that Panic, you could put that on your desk at Guard Media and just look at it all day while you're daydreaming of doing other things other than marketing.
You're looking at me sitting at my desk at Guard Media right now, and it sits on my desk.
Looks at it. Dreams of through hiking.
That is an accurate depiction of how my day goes.
Yeah. Once again, that's from the Rugged Outdoorsman. Check them out. They're a great partner to the show. All right. Hey, you guys just got back from a trip.
We did.
We did.
I had some work in Geneva, Switzerland, and Brittany and I talked about it. It was a really last minute trip, and I said to Brittany,
"You want to go to the French Alps?" And I was like, "Sure."
She's like, "Yeah, whatever." It was
just, the story of my life is just saying, "Yeah, sure, let's go do a thing." I don't know what we're doing.
It was pretty funny. She landed in Geneva when I finished work, and she came. I met her at the airport. We picked a car up and we drove to Chamonix, which is about 40 minutes from Geneva in France. You leave Switzerland and go into France. And for the 2 or 3 days before, we actually hadn't booked an Airbnb anywhere. We had nowhere to stay. We didn't really have a plan. And we were debating going to Zermatt, which is in Switzerland, and doing stuff around Matterhorn or going to Grindelwald. And it was rain in Switzerland. So I said to Britt, why don't we go to Chamonix? It's only 40 minutes away in France. And she was like, great. She picked an Airbnb. She was like, this looks nice. It's a cabin. She flies out, watches 3 horror movies on the plane, hasn't slept a wink in 24 hours, is completely delirious. And I'm driving us, if you've ever gone to Chamonix in the French Alps, she kind of
very dramatic.
She's kind of like asleep in the side of the car, and she kind of like looks up and she's like, wait, where are we going?
What is those mountains are huge.
And again, being a lifetime indoor kid and a lifetime outdoor kid, I had dreamed about going to Chamonix. It's the like origin of rock climbing and mountaineering and alpinism. And Brittany's like, what is this place?
Like, but I picked a day hike that happened to be part of the Tour de Mont Blanc. Yeah. And it was like, of course, like 3,000 feet of vertical gain in this very short period. And I was like, oh yeah, chill day hike, no problem. We started going up, and the last like 1,500 feet of this hike are all ladders that are bolted to the side of the mountain. And I was like, okay, like
the first giveaway
about this.
The first giveaway before the ladders was the herd of wild ibexes that were climbing up the rock wall next to the rock climbers and high alpine climbers. And Brittany was like, where is this hike going? And I was like, up there. She was like, yeah, but how? I was like, I'm really not sure.
The answer is ladders.
Ladders were how we did that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really awesome and really dramatic, but
we will be eventually hiking the Tour de Mont Blanc. We were there about 2 weeks before they opened a lot of the tramway systems that get up into the mountains. So it was a lovely day hike. We also went up to the base of Mont Blanc on, I can't pronounce that one tram.
Yeah, that was a wild. If you want to take like the scariest gondola ride of your life, go up to Mont Blanc on the gondola.
Was that gondola? Was it pronounced Walmendingerhorn?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
It was very similar syllables.
TMI and Panic. I'm always on the lookout for the episode title during the interview, and I think we have stumbled across it. The title for this episode is going to be "The Answer Is Ladders."
Yes.
I mean that's golden. That's golden.
The answer is ladders. How are we getting up that?
The answer is ladders.
Yeah, the ibexes didn't need it, nor did the rock climbers, but
Oh, there were some sketchy. I mean, they were really bolted in there, but there's something like I like having both my feet on the ground when I'm doing things, especially hikes. And it was just like,
the French Alps are definitely it's very vertical. It's very, very, very vertical, But it was lovely. We're so excited to go back.
Yeah. To bring the whole conversation back full circle, I think maybe some of those kids on the hike in the Austrian Alps maybe asked some questions, and maybe their teacher said the answer is ladders.
Ladders.
Yeah.
I think the kids answered that to the guides that didn't know what was happening, and the kids were like, "You should have brought a ladder."
Yeah, where's the ladder? If the answer is ladders, how come we're not carrying one? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly correct.
All right. So let's talk about your social media, your YouTube and Instagram channels. What if people go to Bad Hikers, what can they expect to find there? And I guess I should ask the question, why did you pick Bad Hikers as your social media account?
So I think it was
COVID.
I mean, I think the bad hikers thing it was a little bit cheeky. So I will say Andy is definitely not a bad hiker, but I definitely had no idea what I was doing. I think our first backpacking trip, I brought probably about 25 pounds too many things.
A lesson we've all learned.
Yes. So it was like this kind of like, okay, maybe I'm bad at this, but also like just a cheeky, like, yeah, bad hikers.
I think the cheekiness was, I think for me, the cheekiness was, I've always appreciated about the outdoors that there's a very specific set of things that are best practices, right? And it's leave no trace and the level of respect you bring to the outdoors. But other than that, like, whatever, like there's not a hierarchy out here. Like it's just, I mean, the national park system was literally created to do this, right? As like a respite for people living in urban areas. And I think that it was just, this is be bad hikers. Like,
it's fine. You can you can suck at this.
Yeah.
Just go out and have a good time.
Yeah. Be bad hikers.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. Being a bad hiker is better than being a non-hiker. So
yes, exactly.
Unless you're stranded on Wommendinger.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what can we expect to see on your channels?
So I will say for Instagram, we've been doing a lot of stuff around Oregon since we moved here. So a lot of PNW content right now.
The Pacific Northwest makes for really easy content.
Yes, it's gorgeous here.
Here's a waterfall. Here's a waterfall. Here's a waterfall.
I will say it can be a little inconsistent because both of us, we just do this in our free time. But we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And we try to post things that are a mix of like, here's beautiful scenery, but also like some humorous behind the scenes stuff of us just chaotically going about our day.
and like, we're outside of the name Bad Hikers, where this started about posting for both of us, where we really were started to hike a lot was when during COVID in 2020, we couldn't do anything. And then right when we were able to go and do some outdoors things and hike, it was kind of our escape together to go and get on the trail. And we really wanted to share it with our families who were all over the world and all over the country, and no one could see each other, and we wouldn't end up seeing each other for a year or more. And it was just a way to share, and then it kind of evolved from there.
Yeah, and the YouTube channel started off as like, I think each episode was kind of about like us hiking a specific trail or doing a specific backpacking trip. The JMT series, I think, we're on our final episode. It's going to be 8 episodes. So it's more of a longer arc, which has been really fun. This process for me was learning how to like film and edit and do all that stuff. And it's been really cool to get to do that. But I've really enjoyed doing like a longer series that has like an actual story arc. And I think we're going to try to do more stuff like that instead of just kind of these like one trail hiking episodes. But I think it's a good time. It's fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
It was a project for us to do together. Our work life is previously all encompassing, and it was really fun to have a project together that we could work on and learn skills and have fun and have it be just an adventure together. We spend all of our day in front of the computer for other people, and it was nice to do that for ourselves and continue to do that. So we're looking forward to it. We're finishing the JMT series, which has been a riot. And also I'm just grateful that we have the footage. Part of the best part of editing is a year, almost to the day, a couple weeks being off trail. It's just fun going back through the footage and like piecing it together and reimagining how everything went and all of that.
Yeah, reliving it.
Yeah. But I think we have some other similar distance through hikes coming up that we're excited to make some content about.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see the finished product. Make sure that you share that with us.
Yeah, we will for sure. 100%.
Okay. Hey, TMI and Panic, you know where we are?
No.
What's that?
The pro tip insight of the week.
That's right, half calf. It's
I
time
like
for
the futuristic AI engine you got over there.
TMI and Panic. It's time to share your pro tip insight of the week, where you share some trail wisdom for our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better. So TMI, What do you have for us?
So mine's going to be a very obvious gear thing that I think a lot of people listening to this podcast already know, but I was a boot hiker up until we left on the JMT, and I got trail runners right before we left. And I am so grateful I did.
Yes.
I do not suggest doing the John Muir Trail in boots.
There are a lot of boots out there.
And it was a blister fest.
Blister fest.
Trail runners, way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the feet aren't happy, the hiker's not happy.
Exactly.
Yep.
A lifetime outdoor kid. I was a boot kid. And I don't know if that was growing up on the East Coast where I didn't see trail runners that much in the Adirondacks. And maybe that was just a place, or, feel free to at me in the comments and yell at me. But it was just, I think I just always wore boots. And we were coming to this conclusion leading up to the JMT, and then both pulled the trigger for the first time and have never looked back. So much so that we're going to go climb Kilimanjaro and trail runners. And, it's like, wear trail runners.
Nice.
I think mine, I think this probably sounds cheesy. Mine is, and both of TMI and I practice this, I think, really successfully. We don't have expectations on a 1 mile day hike or a 250 mile through hike. And it's really nice. It's really nice to enjoy the outdoors without having a rigid agenda like expectations. And I think that, yesterday we did a 14 mile day hike and had a riot, and we could have gone 2 miles and had just as good of a time. And I don't mean that in the sense of some casual, idea about not having expectations. It's more like, I think the best part about the outdoors is it's going to tell you what kind of adventure you should have today, and just getting in tune with the intuition to listen to that answer, because we've stopped 50 feet short of summits and had the best hikes ever. And we've summited mountains and everything in between. And every single time we've made that decision based on, seems like we should just stop here, or this is the adventure we should have. We've gone a 1/4 mile into a 10 mile hike and been having a really hard time in our personal life, and just walked off to the side of the trail and sat down in the bushes for 4 hours and just talked. And I think that I think sometimes the outdoors comes with like, this is the objective. This is a 10 mile hike. It's not. It's a whatever you want that hike to be. And I think when we got there together, the outdoors just got like way more fun.
Yeah.
That's right. As JFM pod listener Mike Tyson once said, I'm not sure if he listens or not. I'm just
big mic drop right there.
just speculating. He probably listens. But as he once said, everybody has a game plan until you get punched in the nose.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Then the game plan's out the window and you got to improvise. And I think being flexible and being able to improvise is very, very important skill out there on the trail. That's a great pro tip from both of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So there you have it. That's it. This episode is just about in the books. Hope our listeners enjoyed our time with bad hikers, TMI and Panic. Want to thank them for joining us this week. How can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your latest adventures?
So on YouTube, we're Bad Hikers, and on Instagram, we're bad.hikers.
Yeah, check us out at Bad Hikers. We'll kind of, if you watch the latest through hike of our John Muir on YouTube, you'll get a good sense of kind of what some of our upcoming adventures are going to look like. And we have a Kilimanjaro summit this winter that we're going to definitely be making a little series about. And Brittany has designs of us trying to through hike the Arctic Circle next year. So I think we got some stuff coming on the horizon for sure.
You know what else is in your future? Coming back on the podcast and talking about these things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We will
All
love
right.
to come back, Doc. It's been such a pleasure.
Fantastic. Well, remember to check out the pod on social media as well. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you have comments or clips you want to share, you can send it to me at johnfreakinmuir@gmail.com.
The Adventure Media Recommendation.
All right, you two. I'm also looking to you to share a recommendation for a book, a movie, documentary, something out there in the media department that's going to keep our listeners connected to outdoor adventures. We call this our Adventure Media Recommendation. What do you have for us?
Oh, Adventure Media. Okay.
Adventure Media. Yeah.
We just watched a Taylor and Renan documentary. Taylor and Renan of Expedition Studios, The Sanctity of Space.
Yes.
I think it's on Amazon and Hulu and it's
all the platforms.
It's all the all the buying platforms. It's not a free streamer. Anything by Taylor and Renan is at least personally some of my favorite stuff. But The Sanctity of Space was a lovely historical kind of deep dive into aerial natural photography, adventuring,
And it also intertwines like Renan's personal story about a traverse that they were trying to do. It's a really cool interplay between rock climbing, alpinism history, and this very personal story about an adventure.
A decade-long adventure.
Yeah.
Those are the best kinds of adventures, ones that last for a decade. Holy smokes.
Yeah. They are. We've got a couple on the bucket list for sure. But that's I think we just watched that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sanctity of Space. Let's check that out. Thank
It's
you.
worth it for sure.
What have we not asked you?
Okay. Hey. And before we wrap things up, one more segment for you called What Have I Not Asked You That You're Dying to Tell Us About? What did we miss tonight?
Ooh.
Boy.
Well, your AI question generator is very thorough. So the John Freaking Muir pod, excellent hosting work. I don't know. I think just right now, the thing I'm enjoying most is exploring a new state and new nature. And kind of when we left California, we had genuinely we'd started making a list, but we had done almost every day hike that the state had to offer. And I don't mean that fictitiously. Like we started with 45-minute circle around where we live, then an hour, then 2 hours, then 4 hours, then national parks, then the John Muir Trail. And it was like, by the time we left, it was like, I'm ready for a new geography, I think, in a new setting. And moving to Oregon has been jaw dropping. I have my other monitor is photos from our hike up Eagle Creek yesterday, and it's just something special.
Yeah.
So now you have a new set of concentric circles to work your way through.
Yes, we do.
It's actually harder here. Living in the Los Angeles area, you get a lot of repeats, even though it's a different hike. There seem to be some consistent. This is a desert hill that leads to a dried riverbed, and no hate. Now listen, we had a blast. But Oregon has been special.
But yeah, yesterday we hiked to a giant waterfall pouring over a tunnel of ferns, and I was like, well, this is a little different.
Pretty good. Yeah, no, Oregon has been lovely, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, that is a wrap from the John Freaking Muir studio. Any shout outs to friends and family, you two?
Shout out to you, Doc, for having us on, and we can't wait to tell you about more adventures.
Yeah, and shout out to my grandma Sita, who watches all of our content.
Doc, you won't get a new subscriber out of Sita. The mechanism, I don't think will happen.
We'll have to sign her up ourselves.
But she will be listening, so we'll get you the clicks.
Fantastic. All right. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if you've spent the day philosophizing about one of the world's greatest inventions, pizza. The trail is the trail. Embrace the suck.